there,
Known as the Big East Conference prior to
so the
2000.
competition is stiffer. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm just saying, like, I'm looking at one conference here. They have a bunch of states, and then they have West Virginia. Like, it's like Texas, Oklahoma, and then West Virginia.
That's
Right?
because they needed somebody to beat up on, so they put West Virginia in there.
Well, they just switched because they were Big East. About 5 years ago, Moose? Was that about right?
That's right. That's about right.
Oh man. So yeah, I don't even see the Big East anymore. Which one is? I don't know what Big East anymore. Oh, we're live. Oh,
yeah, we're live. What are you kidding me?
I didn't even see the countdown.
This is pregame. We're talking about sports stuff. This is a podcast show. I don't know if you know this. Yeah,
it was a Hey, was there a countdown? I didn't even see a countdown.
Yeah, there was a countdown.
Pay attention, man. I saw the countdown.
Man,
they only do countdowns in the big schools. We know what school you went to.
Yep.
That's what we were trying to figure out. Where does he?
Arrive class of February.
Sunbelt. Sunbelt
class of February. All both of us.
Listen, I graduated early. It was supposed to be April.
That's funny. What's going on, Alex? How's it going, man?
Hello.
Now, see, anybody out west that joins us would know that if we're talking about, basketball and sports and stuff, we would say the West Coast doesn't have the players that the Southeast does. And everybody from the West going, oh, that's not right. It's not right because it's right.
Do they even have any other teams besides the one that just recently won?
Yeah, well, it's a funny thing because they used to have this conference, and for those that are looking for the Sci-Fi Channel, you got it.
It's just a commercial.
It's just a side, it's a little side piece. Here, let me help you. This
the sports is sponsor of the podcast. Sports.
Oh, sorry, I didn't want that one.
That's the sound effect you want. You had it right. They were like, "What?"
Yeah, but anyway,
I knew Alex would say that we're the champs for him. I knew he was gonna say. That's why I said besides who won just recently.
Yeah. Other than that, the fact is that Steph Curry would have gone to I think it was Carolina. I think it was North Carolina, but they wouldn't sign him.
That's right. That's exactly right. And
and
then the next year they tried to bring him there, and he was like, "Nah, I'm good."
Nah, I'm good. Yeah. So the fact is that he would have been there anyway, and he would have been in the ACC,
and then he would have went to the Knicks. And the Knicks would have been champions this year.
There you go. Now let me tell you something. Here's the thing. If they had a program that it would have like in college football where they would have these different games like East versus West kind of game, and they would have Florida versus the rest of the country. Now, think about that for a minute.
Hey, you see what Alex put? Go ahead, say what you gotta say. Look what Alex wrote. He said, "Woulda, coulda, blah blah." East has been soft for decades. Oh,
I'm not disagreeing there.
We're not talking about the East.
Yeah, we're not talking about the East. We're talking about the South. There's a difference.
And where players come from. That's what we're talking about.
Where players come from. That's really how this topic got started, Alex. Where players come from, what colleges they went to, where they located. And I would contend against anybody, any sports cast, any sports podcast, anywhere on this planet, that most of the top players come out of southern states. That's all I'm saying. And that's the bottom line. You can't beat us.
Stone Cold said so.
Nothing else to say. That is the bottom line.
By the way, I also came out of the southern states, so there you go. I'll put my record up against anybody. How many you want dropped on you tonight? And I guess
this mic's too expensive to drop, so I'm just gonna leave it where it's at. So
even this overweight lover can still drop.
Hey, just so you know, I did some. You know me, I always got to do some research. So Kansas is considered South. Was Kansas? No, it's what do we consider?
That's they probably consider themselves.
So currently in the NBA, 13 active players from Kansas, 12 from Texas, 12 from North Carolina, 12 from UCLA, and 12 from USC.
Okay.
Well, you're talking about schools, though, right?
Yeah, schools. And that doesn't mean they're good. It just says active.
Yeah, that does not mean they're good, by the way. Yeah.
It says active.
But when I tell you that, we're the best player of all time came out of what school and where was that located? And you say in the South.
North Carolina.
North Carolina, baby. There you go.
I just learned that. I was paying attention in class right now.
Oh.
fun stuff.
Listen, anytime you guys want to get on the sponsor podcast, sponsored by sports.
Sponsored by what is it? What is Westwood Sports or what was the one? Winwood Westwood Sports or
I think it is Westwood. See,
is it Westwood?
I thought it was right until you started questioning it. Then I'm like, I don't know.
Winwood, Steve Winwood has sponsored this podcast. Anyway,
all right, commercial over.
Yeah. We could talk about anything. What do you want to talk about? That's what we should do. We're going to create a podcast, and whatever your topics are, that's what we're going to talk about. We're just going to roll with it. You want to talk about how Mountain Dew's made? We got you. We're going to talk about on the fly.
Oh, we do it hey, we call that Freestyle Tuesdays.
Freestyle.
Because did you know that depending on where Dr. Pepper is made, it's either Coke or Pepsi? There you go. Just a knowledge drop right there.
Yeah, let me see here. Alex says Magic
Dr. Peppy. Dr. Pepper has 32 flavors.
Alex, Magic Johnson. I know you mentioned Magic Johnson, but as a top 50 player, that's not too bad. Michigan State, they got one. Yeah. That's pretty cool. JP, the podcast sponsored by Podcast for Sci-Fi. That's always the case.
Always the case.
A quick trivia question for anybody. Since we're talking about Magic Johnson, where did Larry Bird go to school?
Larry Bird went to school at Boston.
I don't have my buzzer sound here ready. So negative. He did not go to school in Boston. As a matter of fact, I would find it hard pressed that you could that this school ever went anywhere except when Bird had him under the Bird played for them. How about that?
Oh my goodness, what school is that?
Yeah.
Now you're gonna get me to Google it. Hold on.
Well, what's funny is he went to two schools. He actually left Indiana, and he went back home, and then he stopped. He stopped. He didn't like the big city life, and somebody else came knocking and said, "Hey, we're going to treat you right. Come on here. We're the good old small town group. We're gonna take care of you." And then he went to school for somewhere else, and then took him to the championship. Alex, you should know who this is. Come on, Indiana. Oh, that's one. That's only one. That's yeah. Well, which Indiana school?
Who cares? Indiana State.
Indiana State. Okay.
Indiana State University.
Or he went to play for the Hoosiers.
Yep.
Which is
Bobby Knight.
There we go. But well, yeah. Anyway,
hey,
that's enough sports.
Just so you know, he only played 1 month there.
That's what I told you. He left, and then he went
to
and then he went home, and then he was recruited by someone else, a smaller college, and took that college to the championship. Now, how can you do that, right? How good are you when you can do that? That's what I should ask.
Only the best.
You're only as good as when you can just call how many points you're going to put up in a game and say, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah, JP, we're going to talk about the Obi Wan finale. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Let's.
You would think JP was in the green room when we were putting this together.
He probably was.
He's one time he was.
At one point.
All right, let's
get started.
We'll get started. I won't dwell on the past. What is Obi Wan Kenobi? The finale of the season 1 has finished. I hope you saw it. The Umbrella Academy has started and is waiting for you to binge it in Netflix. Could there possibly be a Star Wars reboot? And who would be doing the music? Oh, well, we got a lot more to say than just that. Here we go.
According to Wikipedia, a nerd is a person seen as overly intellectual, obsessive, introverted, or lacking social skills. Many so-called nerds are described as being shy, quirky, pedantic, and unattractive. We're here to prove Wikipedia right.
Oh, look who they let in.
This is Podcast for Sci-Fi, where all things sci-fi come to life. If it's fantasy, sci-fi, gaming, movies, interviews, we're talking about it. We're talking about it. This is Podcast for Sci-Fi, and here's your host, Moose, Game God, and Magic Mike.
Welcome to Podcast for Sci-Fi, where all things sci-fi come to life. This is episode number 351. The Illuminati is in the house, and we've got plenty to talk about, plenty to say, whether it's sports, podcasting, sci-fi, whatever it is, Mountain Dew, whatever you got, we're going to talk about.
Mountain
You got a
Dew,
suggestion
Dr.
for us,
Pepper.
please. Dr. Pepper, 32 flavors. What's that? Baskin Robbins, I forget. Listen, come on
both
in.
of them.
Yeah, you can join us live on Facebook and YouTube right now, every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So
We got a
anyway,
newcomer in the room. Yeah, what's going on, Kenny?
what's going on? What's going on, Kenny? How are you? Good to see you in the room. Feel free to let us know how you're feeling, what you want to talk about as we talk about these wonderful things. Where do we get started? Magic Mike, you're the foremost starter. Yeah, he is always okay. Game God, you're the foremost starter package that I've ever seen. Where can we get started tonight?
I figure we slow burn this today. I think we start with like the Star Wars reboot. How about that?
Okay. Oh, Star Wars reboot. Yeah. So they're going to reboot it, is what you're telling me.
Yeah. So this word from our sources that at like every great classic movie, right? It gets rebooted. Why not? Why not go back to the well and get some more money, right? Movie did well once. And in the case of Star Wars, it did well 12 times because it is the DVD version, the special edition DVD version, the Blu-ray, the 4K Blu-ray. You know, I think they did HD DVD at one point. So the Ryan Johnson is trying to in talks of doing some type of reboot with brand new characters. As a matter of fact,
Ryan Johnson directed which Star Wars film? The Last Jedi?
The one that no one likes.
The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the director for the new Thor that's coming out, I can never say his name right. So
Taiki Waka.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
he has come out, and the reason this conversation has come out is that he has come out and says that the movie he's going to do, because he is signed up to do a movie for Star Wars, he will not use any pre-existing characters as well. So then, so people start talking. So no pre-existing characters, reboot the movies. You know, so it created a whole thing. So the question I'm going to ask you guys: is this the right move? Reboot the movies, brand new characters from the people we recognize them to be.
To reboot Star Wars. That is a horrible idea. I just don't understand that. I actually feel like they're just trying to get some traction. They just want to talk about it, because why would you ever consider rebooting Star Wars? Because the story has continued. It's not as if it's not Top Gun where we got it, 30 years ago.
$1 billion,
Hey,
$1
guys,
billion
let's do it again. And even that's not a reboot, but we don't need to reboot Star Wars. Just keep it going. I don't understand the issue with that. I want to just crawl out of my skin if we're going to talk about a reboot of Star Wars.
What about Moose? Moose, how you feel about this, Moose? This is near and dear to your heart.
First of all, could you make it any better? And the simplest answer I could come up with is not in 1,000 years could you make it any better. It's classic. It's already engraved in stone. It's in granite. It sits upon the rock, and you can't change that. The only thing you could do is make other storylines off of it. The only thing you can do is continue it on. Tell prequels. You can't change the original. I don't care what you try to do or what actor or actress you're going to put in there. It's not going to happen. The only thing you can do is tell side stories. You cannot retell Star Wars in a different way and reboot Star Wars. Those things should be at opposite ends of the dictionary. Yep.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that, because I remember maybe 50 episodes back. I don't remember. You said something to me. Hey, they're thinking about rebooting Back to the Future. No. Right. So the same way you feel about Star Wars is the same way I feel about it when we talk about Back to the Future. You just can't do it. It is history. That's like stuff that you cannot change. It is what it is. Like it, dislike it, think you can make it better, think you can't make it better. I think that when you think Star Wars, first person that comes to mind, Moose, when you say Star Wars, first person.
George Williams.
George Williams.
I just put George Lucas and John Williams, so I just
Williams. I'm
combined the
like,
two and put them together.
That's their
That was great.
child. Okay. What about you, Mike? First person you think, first character. First, I guess I should have said that.
First character. You didn't
John
say
Lucas.
that.
I'm going with John Lucas.
John Lucas.
Oh my goodness. But when you think about it, you're right. And as we progress in the Star Wars universe, right, that mantle is being changed to Filoni. And
Filoni, right? Today's that's just it. We know George Lucas is out. We know that he's not. Yeah, he might have his pinky in it and swishing it around, but he's not in it.
Right.
Who's in it? Who's swimming in it? Who poured the cup and is swimming in it? Is Filoni, Dave Filoni.
Yep. So
ask his
I
opinion on a reboot. See what he
yeah,
thinks.
well, yeah, see what he thinks. I think to end with this, I think you leave them alone. As bad as the last three were, right? And I think, and you say, you can pick good and bad out of it. You got to leave it at this point.
Yeah.
You got to leave it. It's part of the, people complained about episode 2. They complained that, episode 1 could have been episode 2 put together in one movie. But I think at this point, you leave it like it is. It is lore. It is history with Star Wars universe. They are making things around it like Obi Wan, right? Now you really can't reboot it, to be quite honest, because you got, as we go into later today, Obi Wan is continuing and solidifying.
Oh, wait, we didn't move on
movies.
yet. Hold on just a second. Just slow that down a little bit there, Paul. Yeah, but listen, have there been other reboots where you would have said no, or would you have always said yes? So, for example, if I said, "Hey, listen, Spider-Man has there's 3 Spider-Mans out. They all start, Tobey Maguire," and then if I said, "Hey, we're going to reboot Spider-Man," what would you have said?
No.
Probably no at that time.
No.
Really? Okay. Would you have said
if it was
no?
Spider-Man 3, I was like, can we do 3 over?
I wouldn't have said reboot. I would just said, yeah, we're done. Somebody else take this over, please.
Okay, all right. How about Batman? So we had Michael Keaton's Batman for 3.
Was he the
2
first
movies
one,
for
Michael
him.
Keaton? I can't.
Yeah,
remember.
he was the first. Well,
okay.
the first one that
movie
were
wise.
Big screen.
Yeah.
He was the first.
Mhm.
So if that's the case, hey Tad, how's it going, man? If that's the case, then would you have said, "Hey, yeah, we need to reboot Batman"?
I would have said no again.
I agree with Magic Mike on that one. I would
Yeah,
said no
I
as
mean,
well.
look, I would have said no. I would have said no. Don't reboot Batman. I love Michael Keaton's version. The others didn't exist. We were going to cross the George Clooney, Val Kilmer's out, but we keep the Michael Keatons. So haven't looked.
Alex
at,
brings up a point there, though. If we don't try the reboot, we won't find people like Tom.
I agree. That's what I'm saying is that as much as I say no, now all of us, you could disagree with me on the same hand of going, well, there's been some really good reboots. And I said, what? Well, like what? And you would have said, well, Spider-Man. And you would have said,
which one?
Batman. Batman.
But here's the thing.
And then
I don't know why I would have called Spider-Man a reboot because it started with Marvel.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. But if it told a backstory, I consider that a reboot.
What about Superman?
If Superman's been rebooted.
Yeah, but would you think so? Is Christopher Reeve the best Superman?
Yes.
Is the story?
Are you really asking?
No. I'm asking because is the series of movies that came out with Christopher Reeve the best series of Superman movies that came out? You wouldn't. I know Christopher Reeve is Superman.
No, I would say no. I would say no, not the best movie, but he's the best Superman.
Okay,
Correct.
so he's the best. But if you reboot, does that necessarily mean you reboot the main actor, or you just reboot the story?
So let me help you. My answer to all these things that have been rebooted that have been successful is this. Now we're talking about something like Star Wars that is not just 3 movies or 4 movies. We're talking about 9 movies, 100 books, 100 comics, spin-off shows. Like you're talking about an entire universe.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're not just talking about just small little, clips here and there. You're really talking about just a ton of knowledge that you just can't necessarily rewrite. And by the way, I'm not interested in seeing somebody else play Han Solo or Luke Skywalker.
No, you can't.
Can you see
I think you can.
Can you unsee anybody else as Obi Wan Kenobi, the old Obi Wan Kenobi?
No.
Alec McGinnis, right?
What about RDJ as Iron Man? You can't unsee that. No one
can't
else
unsee it.
So
Right.
So I agree with you.
I'm with you. I'm with you. As much as you could say anything about Captain America or Thor, you can't see anybody else in those shoes.
And it's funny you bring up Captain America. Just as a side note, Chris Evans says he wants to come back, but he wants to play Johnny Storm. He doesn't want to play Captain America anymore. He don't want to play Captain America.
He's already played Johnny Storm.
Yeah, he says he's. I think that he feels that he can do it better than the first time. The first time is probably a joke.
But that's Johnny Storm.
That's probably true. And by the way, the only person that you could replace was a War Machine, and that worked out fine.
I think it probably worked out for the better.
Yes,
for one of them, not for the other.
I just don't know who sits around. Who out there sits around and wakes up and goes, you know what, dude, we need a Star Wars reboot. That's what we need right now. Let's start putting that out there. Star Wars reboot.
Hey, that's somebody with Mike. That's somebody with no imagination, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean whenever you go, man, I want to put a good song out there. What song can I redo? Like that's not what you think about.
I'm gonna redo "Blame It on the Rain." That's what I'm gonna do.
What do you blame it on the snow?
No, it'll be the same.
I'm gonna redo Thriller. No, but it's like taking Thriller and trying to redo Thriller. You can't do that.
No,
you can't do that. You can't take beat it and redo it and go, oh, I got a better version. My version is better.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
No, it's true. Don't touch it. Leave Star Wars alone. Don't touch it.
Can't touch this. Exactly. All right. All right. Well, there you go.
Hey, white man can't jump. Can't do a.
Can't do a remake. You can't do it.
No, I think I agree with him on that one. You gotta leave that one alone. You gotta leave that one alone.
By the way, you didn't see White Man Can't Jump 2? Did you see that one?
Nope.
What?
I didn't see that one.
It wasn't one. Exactly. That's my point.
They're rebooting it.
All right. So speaking of rebooting, John Williams, though, seriously. I didn't know. I was throwing the game got a bone there. John Williams coming out of saying that I guess made it official after he does Indiana Jones, the score to Indiana Jones, he's done with movies.
Wow.
Yeah. So obviously we talk about, what are we going to talk about? As good as we are, we do kind of say what we're going to talk about for the podcast, right? Little secrets, right?
Yeah. Little secrets.
And in that conversation, the question came up was I actually said, how many movies has John Williams written scores for?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking 15, maybe 20. And this guy,
I said 50.
Yep.
I said I'm being generous.
Yep. You did say 50.
Yeah. Well,
on the low side, generous, you're saying.
Low, being generous, going, yeah, I think I'm low at 50. But he's been nominated for at least 50.
Yeah,
correct.
So
correct.
So it's even more. This guy is like the Thanos of music scores. I mean, he's unbeatable. You just can't beat this guy.
Yeah, he's done stuff like and in that conversation, by the way, name your top 5, right? And this guy's got so many that it's pretty tough to say.
It's impossible to name your top 5.
But I think it's almost obvious though, which is the number 1 though.
Star Wars.
Yes.
You would have to do it by like not genres even, but by different groups of movies, like a Star.
Oh, he's done
like
franchises.
70s.
Oh, he's done franchises. So
exactly. Yeah.
Let's do decades.
Your
Your best
decades.
top 5 in this decade for John Williams.
You got Jaws in there. How was that not?
By the way, Jaws on this particular list that I was looking at, Jaws was number 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See,
Jaws was
I mean,
3.
when you hear,
it's iconic. It's iconic.
I know what that is. I got it.
Number 2 was Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Okay,
yeah,
there you go.
A lot of people don't know that John Williams did Harry Potter.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this guy. I'm telling you, this guy's untouchable in movie score. Yeah. As soon as you hear it, you go, "Oh, it's Harry Potter. That's John Williams." It's John Williams.
Yeah. So
Star Wars got to be number 1, right?
Star Wars number 1.
All right. What's 4 and 5 on this list that you saw?
5 was Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Okay.
Iconic.
I can't argue that.
And number 4, I don't have it in front of me, but if I remember correctly, number 4 was throw something at me, Moose. Throw one of his famous movies.
No idea.
Oh, Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones.
Exactly.
Indiana Jones was number 4.
So think about that for a moment. You just said another one there. So Jurassic Park. Not even Jurassic Park score when you hear that, it gives me chills to even goosebumps to even think about being there when they first see the dinosaurs and the whole score. That whole piece is just incredibly emotional.
I want you to know when I go into Universal Studios and I walk through the gates of Jurassic Park and you hear that music, I feel like I'm in the movie.
Exactly.
I feel like I'm there. Like there's just things about it. You know, you have the Jurassic Park, you have the Harry Potter. Those are, like you said, you whisper, you whisper, you know what it is. You have the Star Wars. Everyone, I think, from any generation knows music from one of those movies.
From one of those movies, absolutely.
Jaws. Listen,
Right.
I can tell you right now, my son is 9 years old, never seen Jaws, but he knows the song for Jaws.
Of course. I mean, you talking
Never
about
seen
E.T.?
Jaws, but E.T. That's E.T.
Yeah.
That's the other one. Hey, and just as a fun fact, he did the score for Minority Report, just so you know. Not a franchise, not a franchise, but
we should reboot that. Let's reboot it.
Let's reboot it. Yeah.
you say that jokingly. They should reboot that one. I nominate Tom Cruise. Is that?
His part was the only good one in the whole movie. No, I'm not kidding. I actually like Minority
was.
Report. I actually like that. So, call me a nerd, but I like that.
Oh, and by the way, John Williams, 90 years old.
90 years old. By the time he retires, right?
Yeah.
90 years old. I feel bad. I feel like we owe him some money.
Right?
When
Well,
you hear
it feels-
him go ahead, Magic Mike.
Yeah, when you said that, when you were like, he's going to be done, I was like, come on, man, you still got some years in you. 90 years old, I'd be done too. Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. A Blade reboot. I know that comes out a little late. We've passed this topic, but there is a Blade reboot.
It's coming.
The filming has been delayed. I won't even try to pronounce the guy's name.
Yeah, but he played. He was
in Luke Cage.
Luke Cage as well. He was the bad guy.
But it's been delayed. But that's coming, and I believe when that comes out, I'm kind of.
That guy's a good actor, by the way.
He is a good actor.
Is
Is it Sony branded or is it MCU? I don't remember if it's Sony branded. It's gonna go more. It's gonna go the way of Morbius. Yeah, it's gonna go with Morbius both times. If it's MCU, I think it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
I think it still might be Sony, man.
I think
it is
too.
Sony. I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, I think it is. Anyway, yeah, that guy's a great actor. I love him. If you haven't seen his acting in Blade, in Luke Cage, if you go back and watch the Luke Cage pieces, that guy is phenomenal.
Well, listen, he says 2 thumbs down can't replace Snipes. You know, you're right. Blade 1 for me was the best. 2 and 3
was the best Blade.
I couldn't see the rest.
Right? Yeah.
2 and 3.
Fun fact though, there was a vampire killer who's also a zombie killer in Blade. I think it was 2. Who was it? Popular zombie killer.
Was it Daryl?
It's Daryl. Yeah, Norman Reedus.
Yes,
there you go.
Daryl.
Very good.
Yes.
He was the that's when he was better looking. He was better looking, Daryl.
Hey, listen, let me tell you something. Walking Dead puts some
Happens
years
to everybody
on
though.
Put some years on them. Walking Dead. Those zombies will do it to you.
Zombies.
Yeah, you don't get time to sleep. 2-hour naps. You know, back up.
You get a shower every day. You know,
you get a shower.
Hey, Alex, I like Snipes. I really do. I really think his Blades. The first 2, I think were pretty good. The third one, the start of the second one, I go, or maybe the start of the first one. Oh,
I only remember the first one.
The first one was the. How do you not remember the first one? It was
the club,
the bloodbath scene. Yeah, that's
so
epic.
Yeah.
And that song is the only reason why I know that song is because of that movie. The song of that I can't.
Hold on.
I don't want to get us copyrighted. You know.
No. Come on. Let's show me how that went.
Yeah, there we go. We even got the lights going in the background. I love it.
Oh man, but yeah, that was the reason that song became.
That guy there. You go back. You watch that guy act, and he could pull off a Wesley Snipes. I think he's a better actor than Wesley Snipes. If you ask me, that's just my opinion.
Hey, Alex, that song hits. Do it. That's right.
I'm serious.
Alex knows.
All right. So speaking of hits, you got Umbrella Academy. That hit Netflix. I have not binged it all. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. You're safe. You're clear.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
But I did start it, and I'm going to start by saying, I said by looking at the trailer of this, I did not do it for me. When I wasn't really excited about it. I was excited at the end of season 2 when they first I can't wait for season 3. Now season 3's here. I saw the trailer. I saw the first episode, and I'm like, I'm not so sure I'm in. I'm not so sure I'm in. I'll finish watching some of it, I guess, at this point, but it's not hitting for me. Unlike that song at a Blade. Magic Mike, what are you feeling?
Oh, I feel the opposite. I
how many episodes are you in? How many episodes are you in, by the way, Mike?
Me?
Yeah.
I think I'm in 2.
Okay.
1.
Okay. So I feel the opposite. I'm enjoying it so far because, again, we knew it was kind of going this direction, what was going to happen. But like to me, one of the best parts was in the beginning of 1. I'll just give this little one spoiler, but it reminds me of the Twilight scene, that last movie they did, where all of a sudden they start doing something different than what's really going on. But in this time, they're dancing and dance fighting, and then
that was the only good thing about the whole episode.
It was great, and maybe that's why I liked it, because it got me in a good mood. Because I'm seeing this, this is hilarious, this is awesome. And it wasn't until somebody was watching when it goes, oh, I bet it's because that one girl spit that stuff on him and he's dreaming. I said, you know what? I think you're right, because I was like, what are they doing? This is great, but they can't go this direction. And that's what it turns out to be. So that got me in a good mood to watch the rest of it. So I'm enjoying it. I don't have any bad things to say about it at this time.
All right. So that scene you guys just spoke of was a good and a bad for me, because it made me laugh. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's what did for me. It made me laugh.
It made me laugh. But then when it finished and you realize what it was, like you just described, Mike, I'm like, that was kind of whack.
So you wanted them to continue dancing? You wanted to do dance fighting because
no, that's what I'm saying. Because I don't get it. Like, I don't feel where I fall on it, but it did make me laugh. So, but here's the thing. So I'm 4 or 5 episodes in, right?
Okay.
And I can tell you, I'm dragging myself through this.
Don't tell me that. Oh.
Yeah, I'm dragging myself through this. So one of the biggest things for me, without giving any story content, is we had said before the show started was that we wanted to see the new people and not the old people, right? We're done with the old, and I had mentioned, well, the series is around them and stuff. So they continue revolving the series around them, right?
Right.
But they don't use any of their powers.
Hey, you got on to me for like, man, Mike, this is called the Umbrella Academy, not the Sparrow Academy. And now you're saying, well, now they're focused on them. You don't make any sense.
They're not. But the problem is that they're focused on them as just people.
Yeah. Like, now you're giving stuff away, by the way, because in the first one they used their powers. So thanks, appreciate that.
No, yeah. And so for me, I'm dragging through it. I feel like I feel like National Lampoon. I left the dog tied onto the bumper, and we didn't figure out that he was tied onto the bumper till like the dog's there no more. It's not there no more. I feel like that. I feel like they tied me to the bumper, and they're just going on for the ride. And whenever it ends, and hopefully I make it. It's bad, man. It's bad for me. And I enjoyed the first one. I enjoyed the second one that much more. To Moose's point, at the end of the second one, I was hyped to see the third one because, like, oh man, season. First season, second season more. At the end of the second season, I was hyped because I'm like, oh man, how you gonna leave it like this? You got a new group, you got the old group confrontation, and then I watched through the first episode, so the first episode how it was. I'm like, okay, we got promise, right? Mm-hmm. And then that was it. That was it for me. and so, I don't know if you saw on the trailer, they showed the monkey in the trailer that they eventually find him.
I've seen it on the banner. Yeah.
Well, that's the episode I'm up to, and I don't remember his name, but it's for me.
It's not that, but
for me. It's so bad, guys. It's so bad, guys, that I'm doing dishes while I'm watching it.
Hey, by the way, all podcast for sci-fi listeners, he never does the dishes. I'm just saying, let you know right now.
So that's crazy. That's the amazing part.
I'm doing dishes. I'm hanging up clothes. I think I did my bed while I was watching the show. I mean, that's how bad it is for me. So I hope it's not like that for you guys, but good luck.
Well, typically what happens in something like this, so Moose has watched the first one and is not feeling so great. You enjoyed the first one. I think y'all are going to switch places because they're probably getting some storyline, and we know Game God does not like storyline. He does not like anything to do with it, kind of history, or he wants action all the time. So I got to tell you, I just is it worse than WandaVision? I would disagree. To me, right now, no.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think it's worse than
But
one.
you're one episode in. Give it some time.
Yeah. So okay.
Give it some time. Hey, that
listen,
first episode is like the last 3 episodes of
Hey,
WandaVision.
Give it a chance for it to ruin it for you. Give it a chance.
That's right. Give it a chance.
will.
Hey, that first episode of Umbrella Academy is like the last 3 episodes of WandaVision put together. Just so you know what you're working with, right? So that's as good as it gets.
Hey, you know that part in Despicable Me, where
Which one? It's like 12 of them now.
like 3. Where he's I think it was 3 where
Alex,
he's fighting
yes, that's a yes, Alex.
where he's fighting the brat. Remember the brat that he was a small kid and he was a actor. And then he's like, oh, you want some of this group? And then dun, 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 dun. They play Bad by Michael Jackson. That's the dance off that you expect. And that's what made me laugh, because it made me laugh in Despicable Me as well.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that part is funny.
Hey, Tad,
But
we're talking about Umbrella Academy and how.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I know. Yeah, so I'd rather put on Despicable Me 3 and watch that so far. But I'm just saying, I'll give it a chance. I got the same dance scene in Despicable Me 3, but I'll give it a chance.
Hey, I at this point, I go to the theaters to watch Morbius. How I feel about this?
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you next week. On the docket for
Keep riding on. Keep riding on. Well, I think we should. I'm just for fun though. Before we get to Obi Wan Kenobi here, just for fun, they had some Apple something came across your desk, Game God, with Apple flops, right?
That's right.
So Apple's biggest flops. What was that?
Hold on. Listen, this feels like we're being set up here, Moose. Because he's been waiting for this day for
propaganda.
Propaganda.
No, it's clickbait. So don't worry. I've got Android flops right here. Don't worry.
He's got it queued up.
The list is much longer.
All right. So this definitely for me, as when this came across my ticket here, I'm like, really? Apple doesn't really do much like that, because I'm recently converted Apple guy, right? So I'm like, somewhat. I'm not fully there. Probably about 85, 90%.
Except for the PC, the most.
Yeah,
the
I
most
have everything else:
PC
Apple Watch, phone,
and no laptop either.
Yeah, but I don't have a laptop. So, so anyway, so when I saw this, Apple's 12 most embarrassing failures.
Yeah, this got like the top. Give me like top 6.
Why? I don't even know if we know what they are, because I'm like I've never heard of this before. So, the Apple Newton. I don't know if you guys know what that looked like. It was like the old Palm Pilot green screen with the gray.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. I'm like, that's 1972. Okay. You remember the Apple USB mouse that looked like a hockey puck? It came with the blue and the plasticky looking.
Oh no, not this one. The round one with the colorful.
With the round, the oval shaped computers. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
That wasn't a flop.
Yeah. Well,
how was it a flop? It came with the computer.
Everybody wanted it.
Hey,
yeah.
They got rid of it.
Going.
They got rid of it.
Of course, hold on. Wait. This is where we're going. Is if we got rid of it, then it's a flop. Is that what we do?
Okay. All right, let's bring it more modern. Those were old. Those are like 80s. I don't even think the people in the room know what those were. Okay. These is
okay. Keep
going. 2015. We're gonna go to the future a little bit here. 2015.
Okay, let's go.
The release of on the 12-inch MacBook, a keyboard that used the low-profile butterfly switches.
Oh, this is ridiculous. Now we're getting little Magic Mike. We're literally talking about the springs inside of a keyboard as a flop. Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
Well, how about let's go a little bit further.
You're boring me.
September 12th, 2017. So it's more recent. Air Power. Remember that?
All right. This is something that has never been released. It was talked about.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what it's talking.
They showed it. They had it all ready to go. It never came out. It never came out because people were like, "That's not that. We don't want that."
It's not that the people wouldn't want it. There's a problem. Here's the problem. Apple perfects everything that was made by somebody else. They perfect it, and then when they release it, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect. And I say close to perfect. You know what I mean.
Okay. I got you one.
But,
Moose, you might have this
hold
collection.
on. With this air power, the problem is technology. It's not that it can't be done, because it can be done, but Apple doesn't really release it because there are still flaws in the technology. So they can't release it. Keep going.
Okay. This is
You tell me Apple car. Keep going. You're getting to the Apple car.
You have this in your collection probably if you open one of your.
No,
one of
I
your,
can feel it. Come on.
The Power Mac G4 Cube.
Okay, I still have one of those.
I know you do.
And?
So that right there, as futuristic as it looked, and it looked pretty cool. Even now, to today's standard, it looks pretty cool. It didn't go far. The Cube didn't provide the power or the features one would expect for the $1,500 price at the launch. So flop. So
all right. That happens all the time. Okay, keep going.
Hey, I'm gonna give you one more, right? Because I know.
I'm gonna give you a flop too. When you give me the car, I'm gonna give you a car. Keep going.
and then I'm gonna give you this one. We're gonna close it with this one because I know you like sound systems, right? You have all type of. He has 11.1 surround sound up there in his studio. He's prototyping it. The iPod Hi-Fi. So I don't know if you guys know what this was. This was a dock.
I do not.
This was a dock. Back when the iPod was a thing, the 64 gig iPod.
Okay.
And it had it was a dock with a speaker sub in the middle, 2 tweeters on the side, and you dock right.
I have a Bose with the same thing over just right over here. I never use it. It's right over here.
Right. Yep.
I have two Bose right over here.
Well, that speaker was a $350 price tag. Had the 30-pin connector on the top, and definitely was flawed because those pin connectors would break and all kind of good stuff like that. So never took the never hit the market pretty well. So 2 years later after launch, it was quietly put to sleep.
Happens all the time.
So
happens all the time. Hey, let me give you one. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, check this out. You like Back to the Future? You Back to the Future?
Yes, I'm back.
Awesome. How about this? The 1981 DeLorean. How about that car?
Well, they remade it.
No, that's a flop.
It's being remade now. It's coming out.
They remade it because they haven't.
It's rebooted because it was a terrible.
It's because it was such a great car that they said, let's remake it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what it is.
All right.
Was that your response to the Apple?
I like
Apple
the DeLorean. Apple does. They have been talking about a car for a couple of years now, but they have partnered with somebody. Do not be surprised if you don't see this thing in the future. Trust me. Although
I could tell you there's much more to this list. Some of the stuff I just don't know. I feel like it's from a sci-fi movie.
That's just That's first of all
Macintosh TV. I didn't even know that.
That's how they get to where they are, is because they test all these products, man. They have to try things out.
Failure. I want you guys write this down. This is something for you. You need to know this. Okay, this is important. You think I'm lying? This is true. This is a true story.
I know what you're gonna say. Go ahead.
I know. I think I know what he's gonna say too. But go ahead.
If you aren't failing enough, then you're not being innovative enough.
Yeah, you're right. Without failure, you don't have success.
You can't. You're not being innovative if you're not failing. Yeah. So you have to be innovative to fail.
Right. There was this thing here called Apple Pippin. I don't even know what that is. It looks like it looks like a video game system that they try to do.
Speaking of failing, let's talk about Kenobi.
Wow, is that how we started this? Is that how you do this?
Wow,
man.
Wow.
Half the room just left. Yep, half the room just left. I waited for this. I'm
ridiculous.
I sat through Apple for this.
You're not cutting off because you want to know just how it failed. Okay.
Oh man.
Magic Mike, the ball is in your court, sir.
The ball's in my court. So we're talking about the last episode.
Final episode of Kenobi. No breakdowns. What hit me with it?
Wow, man, what an episode. We talked about coming in, how they had to finish strong. And okay, so before I even get to that, because this is important, Game God has failed me at least twice now.
Okay.
He told me that, yes, you should watch.
You got good odds. I got
Halo. You should watch Halo. It's good. Then he tells us, Moose, last week, Obi Wan is an hour and a half. You remember that? An hour and a half.
I was looking forward to this hour and a half. Yes.
So I'm going, this is going to be awesome.
I knew this was going to bite me back. I knew this.
And I sit down, I hit and play it. It's like 50 minutes. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm going to get 50 minutes. I was expecting an hour and a half. Thanks, Game God. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, but man, what an episode.
Season 2. Anyway, keep going.
I didn't say it was on in season 1. 90 minutes.
Outer Range season 2.
That's what I'm saying. I'm hooking you guys up, giving you some inspiration.
Man, what an episode. Everybody wants to talk about the fight, right? Everybody wants to talk about the Obi-Wan Vader fight. Probably one of the best ever that we've seen on screen, period. TV, big screen, one of the best ever. I mean, it just, you get to see what we've been wanting, which is real Obi-Wan. And it's so funny how I get goosebumps and I want to giggle about it. As we talked last week about different things and how, you know, when he talks about it in the first, when A New Hope, when he gives up his body and he's like, oh, now I have become the master. And we see why. I mean, Obi-Wan just like shows him, no, I'm still the master. It's me. It's going to be me for a while now until I decide otherwise. The fight was so good. You don't think he's going to step up, and then he does. He's able to bring back his force in complete fullness, and just takes apart Vader. Just takes him apart.
Are you throwing it to my court? I knew you would be the anchor.
Please, yeah.
I have to stop, otherwise I'll finish the whole thing. Sorry, I have to stop.
I got to tell you,
you guys tear it up. Give him a break. Go ahead, Game God.
From beginning to end, this episode was impossibly to think that I don't even have the words. It was impossible to think that the fight in Rogue One, or the little piece we saw of Vader in Rogue One, was the best Vader we saw. Right? We all go hands down. That's the Vader we wanted to see. Right? And when you saw him in this is like Vader who can move, Vader who was using his powers. Right? Vader who was, I mean, the ruthlessness. If you thought he was ruthless in episode 4 and 5, man, this was pure evil ruthless. Like this was darkness in his heart. Right? But forget about the fight piece. I thought some of the best pieces, right, was the dialogue at the very end when Vader was basically defeated. And he's speaking to Obi-Wan, and his voice is changing between Anakin and Darth Vader.
Gosh.
I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps watching that. And when he told Obi-Wan, "I am not your failure," I was like, that hit me in the chest right there. I'm like, okay. And he said, "I am not your failure. You didn't kill Anakin. I did." Right? And I was like, wow. And that's when it hit Obi-Wan, and he says, "My friend is truly dead." And he says, and he said bye to him, but he said Darth. I was like,
yes,
that's it right there. I'm like, mic drop, done. I was like, but the only thing that hurt me watching this was seeing Vader vulnerable, right? I've never seen Vader. You've seen him as Anakin, right? Get thrown around, but as Vader, to see this when things were hitting him and he didn't like the camera all over the place. I think that was for the effect. Yeah. But I think to see Vader be vulnerable, to be toppled, right? Because you've never seen him beat by anyone other than the Emperor, right? But that's expected. You expect the Emperor to, at any point in time, hit him with some lightning bolts, right?
Luke does a pretty good job on him.
Yeah, he does. But what I'm saying is that you heard him grunting, you heard him wheezing for air, you heard him like he was hurt. He was hurt. And I didn't know how I felt about it. I was like, I actually felt bad for him. I was like, don't kill him. Don't kill him. I know he wasn't dying. Like, don't kill him. Don't strike him down. It's like, but man, I got to tell you, the most impactful was the scene at the end with the dialogue. Go ahead, Moose.
Yeah. You guys are nailing it. I think everybody in the world agrees. The failure here in this Obi Wan Kenobi series, it falls on Anakin Skywalker. The failure falls there. Yes. The failure is when they fail to make a season 2 out of something that they have such a rich environment for. They have all they have to do is show other things are going on in Darth Vader's life or Obi-Wan's.
Yes.
I mean, it is so rich with emotion, and if you can carry that out somehow, it would be wonderful. It was so good to see Anakin and Darth Vader at the same time.
Man, that was good.
The fact that whole scene was it's just JP said it earlier, talking about how it's one of the best scenes ever in Star Wars trilogy. He's right on the money. This thing is just it's everything about good versus evil that you want it to be. And I think that's what hits at most people when they watch it. Not just because of Star Wars, not because Obi-Wan and Vader. What the core is good versus evil. And now all of a sudden that core is the human side of goodness, of going, you're really a bad guy, but somehow I'm feeling bad for you. And I don't want you to die, Game God. I don't want you to die. I don't want you to, just see the light. Like that's it is. It
I'm not your
resonates.
failure, Moose.
Hey, I felt like it was me and Game God there. I really do believe that I was Obi Wan and Game God was Darth Vader. And a lot of things you get to Moose and these good versus evil is that, oh, you made me, I made you. But no, they both own who they are and where they are. And oh my, like you said, it really hits to that good versus evil piece.
Listen, I don't think you could have written a better, a fight scene or an end scene finale for this. And by the way, yes, we do see Qui-Gon Jinn. That was an impactful moment for me.
That was it. That was it for you. That was your high point.
The entire time I'm like, they're not showing him.
That's what I was going.
They're not showing him. Oh, there he is. There he is. Yes.
Was it? Did we need it at that point? Let's be honest. Did we need it?
Yeah, I did. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think
closure.
Absolutely we
closure.
Because we get the conversation. Yeah, we get that conversation piece. Because as he starts to run off, I'm like, I bet this is when he's going to see him. And then that's when he sees him. And he's like, hey, come on, we got some things to do. And that was like, oh, that's so awesome. And this is where I go to agree with Moose. Is like, what are you thinking? One season? Come on, man. You got to do more.
Yeah. Now look, the fight scene with a broken helmet was just incredible. The hard breathing, and by the way, this also is the explanation for in Return of the Jedi when he kills or when Vader dies, is that spoiler alert, Vader dies in Return of the Jedi. He has this gash on his head.
Yes.
And you always wonder as a kid, I'm like, what was that? What was that? I mean, how did he get that? How did he get it? Well, guess what? Now we know. Now we know how he got it. And that is just an awesome storytelling piece of going, let's go back. We knew the future. We knew the future in the past. So now all of a sudden we could write it in, we could fill in the gaps.
Every scar he has is from Obi-Wan.
Every single one of them. There's nobody is as more powerful as much as we love Vader. Nobody is as powerful as Vader except Obi Wan Kenobi.
Well, what about? Did you feel that Obi-Wan's force oversaw the power of Darth Vader's force when he started throwing all those rocks at him and stuff like? Do you feel? Because I always felt that Darth Vader's force wise was stronger than Obi-Wan, but I think that when you talk about skill and strategic tactical, fighting, Obi-Wan always had him beat, and that's ultimately why Darth Vader lost, was that strategically Obi-Wan had him beat mentally, and he had him beat with his skills with the lightsaber. But if it was straight raw power, I always thought Darth Vader was stronger, and you don't see that towards the end of this fight. You see Obi-Wan put on a storm of rocks on Vader. I'm like, where did this come from?
Well, I'll answer that with a little bit of what Tad is saying there in the chat room, and that is, there are certain pieces, at least from my understanding in Star Wars, is that from a Jedi's perspective and a Sith's perspective, and that is when they use the Force, they can use it different ways. Mm-hmm. You never see a Jedi choke force somebody. No. You never see
use
that.
Or use electricity.
Or electricity, what Tad is saying in the room. Yeah, exactly. So there are just certain things that you see that you just don't see otherwise. Now, the movement of objects we see on both sides. Mm-hmm. So it's just a matter of how you grab it. But there are certain things, to hold somebody up in the air, to see the Sith they're the only people who do that. Mm-hmm. Because they use it in a different way. Because
their design is to hurt, and Jedi's, they just want to defend is what it basically comes down to.
They're just defending.
So what about the closing scene of Darth Vader when he's sitting back on his throne at the tower, and obviously Darth Sidious is speaking to him, and he says basically he's asking about Obi-Wan, and Vader says, Kenobi means nothing. I serve only you, my master. I think that line was not true up until that point, and I think that once we had that full circle fight where he scars him on his face like that, and Obi-Wan closes that, calls him by his name Darth, and says that I've truly lost the fight. I think at that point is when we truly see that bond between Master of Obi Wan versus Master of Darth Sidious, I think that line becomes more relevant.
See, and I have mixed feelings about that because when he first said it, my first thought was he's lying. He's not being honest. He still cares about Obi-Wan. But then if you go back to A New Hope, where it's just like you don't feel that same emotion that he has now. So there may be some truth to that. But at this time that is happening, I don't feel like he was being honest, because I do feel like he still wants to best Obi-Wan. So that makes him a big part of his life.
Well, can I answer Tad's question there, Moose? If you
I can answer. Please go ahead.
I'm going to assume that he hasn't leveled up to that level of hatred yet. I think the lightning piece is like, when you look at like the Emperor, the lightning piece comes from. I always looked at the lightning piece from the Emperor, and the Emperor being the pinnacle point of pure darkness, pure evil. And I think he hasn't gotten there yet. There's still something in his. Like I'm pretty sure if Padme was still alive, you wouldn't get. That's probably why he hasn't gotten to like if Padme came, you would get a mixed emotion. You'd get an Anakin rather than a Darth. But I think because Padme's gone and anything that has any love for him is gone, I think that's what you see. And I think after this fight, when again goes back to that line, Kenobi means nothing. I will serve only you, my man. I think at that point is when he's really embraced the dark side and he's done with anything that has any ounce of Jedi Force.
I love that. I love that explanation. I would also say that in a lightning piece specifically, I would say that's more of a maybe a trait for those who are only a Palpatine, because we saw Rey and being able to use that same type of thing, and she's not at that.
Yeah,
but to that point, she was both sides.
Well, I was going to say to Moose's point is that they just use it differently, because you don't see the Emperor with a lightsaber. So I just think you see it different. They use the Force differently, is what you're seeing.
Well, maybe you don't see the Emperor with a lightsaber because he feels that he's reached the pinnacle point of the Force powers of Sith. So he doesn't need a lightsaber
because he uses lightning. He's like, I don't need a lightsaber. I can get you from over here.
Well, I got to tell you, in the video game, the Emperor is pretty bad with lightning. He could rock it.
Yeah,
he's good.
Limitless power.
Twirls around, he shoots lightning out. It's pretty cool.
What about
Dooku? Are you trying to blow holes in my story? What about Dooku?
So this is where we've focused on the story of Skywalker and Darth Vader and that storyline. So we're able to quote unquote plug holes right in the story. So
can I just comment to the Dooku piece, because Dooku served under who?
I can't tell you that. I don't know.
He served under Palpatine. So he was Palpatine's apprentice. So did Palpatine teach him the same piece? And I guess that's where I'm going with some of that too. I don't know if we really saw Dooku. Could he have done
Dooku was
it?
before Vader, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. Well, Vader was still a kid.
Yeah.
No, but I think what really answers it, Moose, is to your point. People, they just use it differently, and we see that from the dark side. They use the lightning, but that's just what they use. I think that's just their form of using. Maybe it's a special move on the Force. They build up their
in the video games. It is you get electricity as a Sith, and you get healing powers as the Jedi.
But I think that's just their form.
Because you never see the Sith heal anybody.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So maybe that is it. I don't know. I'm just trying to
and the Dooku piece. Maybe Dooku never got to that level. He just couldn't he couldn't seal the deal. And I think that Palpatine or Darth Sidious saw that in Anakin, that he can take him to that level. And
he could.
And then eventually gets him there.
Well, Dooku wasn't. I don't know. Have the hate. He didn't have the hate.
He didn't because he was working both sides of the fence.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. See, and that's why he didn't have lightning. So aren't Jedi supposed
to make their own?
Maybe
I love it.
Hey, so are Jedi supposed to make their own sabers? Maybe the Emperor's just lazy.
That's what Alex says in the chat room. Yeah, it's true though. I mean, there's just some things to it, and that's the kind of stuff, guys. That conversation that we just had is the same thing that you could take and go in a different direction. I say different direction. Tell another story from Star Wars. Just that conversation alone. How many people would eat that up? How many people would sit down and watch it? I got one right. I know one, me. Yeah. So it's just that same thing. And you go, yes, because again, we know the future, we know the past, Now we just have some storylines to build in there and show maybe how we can tell a different story and explain some of these things even better.
So are we satisfied with the series? Season 1 standalone.
I gotta tell you,
are we satisfied? I know we want a season 2.
I wish there was a season 2 there. I don't think there will be. I just don't think that there will be. Especially the way that it ended, I just don't think there will be.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's done, and that's where the mixed feelings about the satisfaction comes in.
All right, so here's the deal. Obi-Wan season 1, final season. This thing overall has a good rating from me. I'd give this thing overall. I'd give this thing probably a 7.5, 8 overall.
Okay.
Wow.
The last 2 episodes, I'd give that thing a 10 overall.
See,
so the first 4 just were really, really bad. The first 4?
No. They're 7s. The 7s,
Okay.
you know?
Man,
Because I wanted more out of those. I wanted more.
okay.
The last 2 just really they unloaded on me. Maybe even they go from the last, not the last 3, but the last 2.
2.5. You can go 2.5. You can go 2.5.
I give the whole season. I'm giving it a 8.5, maybe even a 9, and that's because again those last 2 were just epic. Because then you got to ask, how does it rank against all the other Star Wars TV shows right now? The series.
So I like Mike's thought process on it, and I gotta tell you, I think I'm with Mike on this. I might go with an 8.5. I don't know if I'm quite there at a 9, but I definitely would give it an 8.5, and that's because those last 2 episodes really
good for
really
you
really
awesome.
really brought it.
It's awesome.
Really,
those last 2 brought up the whole series for you.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, reminder, series only 6 episodes.
I was gonna say 10, Moose, and then you said then you started bringing back the first ones again. I was like, I forgot about those. You should have left those there.
Because I liked them, but they were just 7s to me.
No,
like,
you're right. But you should have just left them. Don't.
7. And then you get to the last 2 and they're 10s, and I'm like, now this, if you could have replicated these last 2, and I know that for whatever reason they did, if you could have, you would have had a 10, you'd have had a 12. Like you could have just, it would have been so good.
JP scale 12.
Here's the thing: the last 2 episodes is as good as most Star Wars movies.
Yes.
The last 2 episodes.
Would you put the last 2 episodes in the top 3 of Star Wars movies?
No. That's a different question. Because I think the total story to me is still a 7.5.
Okay. Does the fight scene in this last episode?
The fight.
Wait. Hold on. Wait for the question. 2. Wait for the question. The fight scene for Darth Vader and Obi-Wan in the last episode, does it topple Darth Maul's fight scene?
Hold on. See, I'll answer first because Moose has a personal attachment to that fight scene. So
that's right. So that's really hard.
Yeah, I'm gonna, because when I first started out, I said it's one of the best. I think it is the best fight scene that we have so far in all of Star Wars.
Alex in the chat room says they turned the last 2 episodes up to 11. So we arguably, you can say, I say arguably just for the other people who are out there, right? Arguably, Darth Maul's lightsaber fight with Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Probably
was
number
the
1.
Best,
a lot of people
was one of the best. A lot of people say it was one of the best lightsaber feats.
In my opinion, is probably the best. A lot of people will say it was Anakin and Obi-Wan
in the lava
and Revenge of the Sith. Which I can understand. It's a technical piece there that people would say that's better, and I'll give you that. But for the enjoyment of watching it, I'd say Darth Maul.
I agree with you. I think Darth Maul.
Standards.
The Darth Maul. You had the dual lightsaber. You had the music, the soundtrack. It was a 2-on-1 fight.
Yep.
He didn't back down. So there's a lot of elements there. But
so
do you think
I still say that, and I would rank this last one. I'd probably rank that as 2. As if I'm looking at just a fight scene, I'd probably rank it as 2 overall.
Man. So
Qui-Gon
I think
got jumped to number 2 for me because of this one.
So I think that this was the Darth Vader that we were kind of looking for. Youthful, kind of can move. I know he did get bested by his former master, if you want to call it that. But again, he was his master for a reason.
It's always the master.
Yeah.
I love this conversation, Moose. Every time it goes to Darth Vader, we know where Game God's line is. We know where that is. It always,
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
he wants to talk about Darth Vader. So where does
Yes.
the series compare to all the other Star Wars to you guys?
Yes, that was my next question.
You said series. I love that question. And then I'm a series as in spin-off, so not movies,
No,
but
just Mandalorian,
series.
Boba Fett, and this one, right? Is that the three?
I gotta tell you, I think it's above Boba Fett for me. I think Mandalorian is still number one. I think it's got to be number two. And it's a good fight for number one because of the last two episodes.
Yeah.
If I were only ranking two episodes all in, this is my number one. This is my number one.
But
overall, I think it falls in number two.
I gotta agree with Moose on this one. I think there's just too much in the Mandalorian got going on. Despite we kind of, I confuse it because in Boba Fett you have Mandalorian as well, so I almost consider that Mandalorian. But I think we had too many Easter eggs, too many unforeseen. I mean, Luke, you can't beat Luke popping up. I mean, the story of the Mandalorian, Baby Yoda set a whole new.
You can't
pass that. Yeah.
Well, so on YouTube, MJ says, "Did you hear about the Reva spinoff?" I've heard some talk about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's a good direction if they go that way. I think it's an interesting story.
Yeah, because I started to enjoy her character more. I did.
At the end, you did.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I'm still.
But here's the thing. But here's the thing. Is it really a Reva spinoff, or can we just do the Inquisitors? I think the better story is the Inquisitors.
You're probably right about that. But she does have a little story there because she was a youngling. But
I think because the quiz. Go ahead.
To put my real quick before we move on to that is I'm with you guys. I do rank Mandalorian 1, but and with Obi-Wan next, and then Boba Fett. But again, if I had to choose between the episodes, there's not a question. But yeah, it's man.
So the Inquisitor piece, by the way, with Reva, because there's no really, besides the comics, there's really nothing, and the video games, there's really nothing. The Inquisitor's stuff is wide open, right? From a movie, besides the comics and the video games, you don't really hear about them in the movies.
You're missing one. No, you don't.
What am I saying?
But you're missing the
animated. In the animated. I'm sorry. Yeah.
There's a lot in the animated.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. There are. But so when you see it from a live action piece, from a movie piece, you're like, who are those people? Oh, right. If you've never seen the animated stuff or read it. So correct. I recognize I didn't watch a lot of anime stuff, so I don't know too much of them from the anime stuff. I know you can speak well on that, Moose. I recognize them from the video games, and I know what they can do in the video games. And I've seen some of these characters from the show. Like I told you in the last episode of the podcast, I recognize them from the video games, and I know the potential. There's a lot of story that can be written with the Inquisitors and hunting down the Jedis. And it doesn't even have to. You can make new Jedis. You can make from all around. Take it easy, Chad. You can get from all around, but I can tell you right now, you can blow that wide open. But we even say you can take Obi-Wan. That's funny. I thought the show was a Reva spinoff of Obi-Wan as a side character. I guess the last two episodes solidify that statement and say that Obi-Wan was the main character. But I can tell you right now that when you look at the Inquisitors, when you look at Reva, we never got to see. What was it? The second brother or whatever that guy was to use anything. There was some characters we never got to see. And all those characters have a unique property, a unique power, a unique fighting style.
And they could use those same pieces to tell. They could even go back to Reva.
Yeah.
They could be tracking her because Vader knows whether he
knows.
He killed her or not. He knows. Come on. But the fact is that they could go that route with a Reva spinoff. I heard a lot of talk prior to the Obi-Wan show coming out that it was going to be solely about Reva, that it wouldn't focus as much on Obi-Wan. I thought that was pretty false. I never read a lot into those narratives because I thought that so many people want to see Obi-Wan. And as much as people wanted, a new character, that's something that they could actually go along with on another storyline. Reva could present that. I don't know if they're going to do it successfully or not if they choose to do that. If they do it and it's good, I'll accept it. If they do it and it's bad, I don't accept it. Let's write it off and start new, go a different way.
Well, I mean, I felt like we didn't see enough of the Grand Inquisitor. I wanted to see more from him. I know he's in the animated.
I understand. He's in the animated a lot. So, but and we know his doom in the animated piece, though. That's the thing.
Right.
So I just think that that's where you got to go. I think that there's a lot of places you could go. There's a lot of other stories you could tell. I don't think we've seen the last of some of the characters.
Agreed.
At least I hope not.
correct.
You know. And if you could, you know, I wish they'd do a season 2. I just don't think it's going to happen.
No, it won't happen. I don't think it'll happen either.
All right. Well, hey, listen, guys, we do this again next week, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next Tuesday. Join us on Facebook or YouTube, whichever one you like. We'll be here. We're going to do it again. We'll have some other topics. Let's do it.
I was just leaving. Da-da-da-da.
Nerd alert, nerd alert, nerd alert, nerd alert.
You've been listening to Podcast for Sci-Fi with Moose, Game God, and Magic Mike. Nerds have more fun. If it's anything sci-fi, we're talking about it. We had fun, and we hope you did too. We have to split, but we'll be back soon. In the meantime, hit us up at podcast4sci-fi.com. This is Podcast for Sci-Fi, where all things sci-fi come to life. Come to life.